All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for joining the Planning, Economic, and Community Services meeting. I'm Commissioner Johnson, the chair, and I'm joined by Commissioner Marita Davis Johnson, District 5, and Commissioner Jeff Rader from District 2. And we will get started with our meeting, and glad that you all can join us and the staff is here. Commissioners, we have a couple of items on the agenda, and I would love to get your motion from you. That's the minutes from July 12th, 2022.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and properly second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion show by words and hands. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you all. And now we'll move to our next item. And I want to hear from Ms. Horner and then Mr. Scott. Oh, it's a grant. I'm sorry, a grant, Mr. Scott.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the PECS Committee. I'm here to present information on acceptance of our annual item that comes from the Atlanta Regional Commission for the provision of senior services in DeKalb County. This is the 18th year that we are the county-based agency, which means that we're designated to receive funding from the state and Atlanta Regional Commission to provide senior services, and you have to be in compliance and good standing. This grant is an amount of $2 million, $109, $586.94. It covers the period of July 1, which is underway, to June 30th, 2023. The funding covers case management, in-home services, congregate and home delivered meals, respite care, and homemaker services, and transportation. The required match is already in the human services budget, so there's no additional cost to the county to accept the grant. We estimate that this given year, we're going to serve 2,300 seniors across all 7 districts will be access to all the services I just mentioned during this grant period. Our senior centers have resumed in-person programming and hybrid programming as of last week, and there's no change to the service delivery model since my last report on this item.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, commissioners, any questions? This is our 18th year of getting this funding. Is this an increase or has always been level?
It has leveled out at $2.1 million over the past 3 years.
No extra ARPA money?
We did get some for meals and in a separate award over the course of last year, 2021. We're hoping for some of the same. But in terms of this funding for core senior services, it's pretty much stayed around $2.1, $2.2 million. And it can fluctuate, it can change based on when they do their final allocation.
Excellent. All right, commissioners, any questions before we entertain a motion? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that this item be approved.
Second. Moved and properly second. Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion? Hands and words, aye. Motion carries. Thank you so much, Mr. Scott. Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of PECS.
I skipped the item at 2851, request for considering establishing an annual traffic count program. Ms. Keeter, welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Johnson. I know you have a long agenda, so I'll be very brief. First, I want to thank the GIS department, Stacey Greer, Tom Lucky, and Getachu Demisi for their assistance and knowledge in getting us up and running on the count program. I'm going to share my screen real quick. And you can see this is a dashboard, a web-based dashboard that we're leaning towards publishing, but we're using it as a tool right now to identify the counts. The green counts are GDOT count stations, and the size is relative to the ADT, the average daily traffic on the road. So the bigger the circle, the more the cars. The red areas, we did both a manual visual assessment as well as a GIS application to identify where we had gaps, because that's ultimately what you were asking us to do. If we want to do a count program in unincorporated DeKalb, how many gaps do we have? How much money do we need? So the red areas are gaps. Not every red area needs to be counted. Like, for example, on Pleasant Hill Road. We have a count station here, and then there's one on Union Grove, but it's very small because it's such a small count. So there's no generator right here. So this would not be one I would recommend us adding a count station to. However, over on Stevenson Road and South Deshawn and Rogers Lake, there's some major areas that we would definitely want to count in that, add some count stations in that area, as well as others, but those are just some examples. So I will say you will notice Shamley still in here. I don't know why we haven't got Shamley out of there yet, but the intention was unincorporated. I spoke to GDOT and some traffic count professionals just for a budgeting guess, and they suggested around $400 a count for a volume count and a classification count. So just for budgeting, we've come up with about 80 locations in unincorporated DeKalb County that we would like to start on a count program. So our recommendation would be to divide that and start a rotation where we do a third a year. So at 35 counts per year, you're only talking about $15,000 a year. Of course, that would be board preference. If you wanted to do 50 counts and count them every 2 years, you're still only at $20,000 a year. So it's a very manageable program that we could do. So I guess that's the update. You asked me where, and you asked me how much. And so this is where we're at. So our recommendation would be for 35 counts a year. It'd be about a third plus a little bit extra in case some special circumstance, a development or something came up that we needed to count. And that would be around $14,000 a year based on the industry information that I've received. So that is my update.
Okay, I appreciate that. I'm gonna ask you a question before I open it up for the group. This is like I got a friend that's a child playing Stranger Things, so I'm gonna ask you this, a Lucas question. Lucas question. Is there any way that you had a satellite that just can look over all the traffic and just do one big swoop, or you got to do individual counts? You know, satellites are all around us and they could just do one and tell us everything at one time, or do you have to do individuals? Traffic counts.
I
Or the
believe,
technology
I'm
exists.
not aware of a program that does that, but I think it would be cost prohibitive for us to do that if it did exist. So that sounds like super government stuff.
Okay.
All the traffic count people that I've talked to
Okay.
have more traditional methods.
Okay. I'm trying to make it easier with the satellites we have. You do one little picture and then you get everything at once. So I'll go to Commissioner Rader then.
I will say this, though, Commissioner Johnson, to us, 50 to 100 counts sounds like a large volume.
Mhm.
But for these professional traffic counters, I mean, they can do that in a month.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
Okay.
it's not, I was surprised how quickly they thought they could deliver this. And I've given them a month with a little extra time. They said they could do it in a couple of weeks.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Thank you. I'll go to Commissioner Rader, then Commissioner Terry, and I'll end with Commissioner Patrick, who brought this item forward.
Okay. And Ms. Keeter, the numbers you had quoted is taking Chambly out. Is that right?
That's correct. We did not include Shamley.
Okay. And are these two counts or are they other technology?
Well, it depends on the vendor. Most vendors now are using cameras.
Mm-hmm.
And it also depends on the size of the road. So there's some benefit, different technologies work better in different situations,
Mm-hmm.
but I would imagine that most of these would be camera counts and processed and not tube counts.
And so they would be set in place for a period of time in order to make that collection. Is that once a year or is it seasonally, or exactly what's the protocol for a count database?
Well, we would definitely want to do it. This would be once a year, and we were planning on doing a third of the count locations a year so that we would space out the need. And so instead of doing 100 counts this year and then waiting 3 years and doing 100 more counts,
Right.
We did ask for a price based on a 72-hour count, so it'd be out 3 days. So we get 3 days worth. And there are count protocols. Of course, we can establish, whatever we want to scope, but we certainly wouldn't want to do it during the summer. We'd want to do it when school was in session. We would want to do it not on a holiday week or Halloween. So we would set exceptions for when, we want it on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday kind of thing. So we could set any kind of criteria that we would want. But our idea is to get a count at these 80 locations once every 3 years.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Ted Terry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Ms. Keeter, I think I missed the first part of the presentation. Was your recommendation to do all of these locations at once or to spread them out initially over a certain number of years?
Right, our recommendation is to spread them out. Just mainly for budgeting purposes, but obviously the will of the board, if you wanted to count them every year, we could, but I don't think there's value in that. If we separated, we could do half one year and half the other, or what we recommended was a third, a third, a third. And that way it would just spread it out a little bit more, and we could choose which, the top ones, the most important, because you guys know what's going on in your districts and may have more insight to where maybe developers are working or looking and where you need that information. So we could coordinate those locations with you individually.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, all that makes sense. I was kind of thinking about it as of, what if we just did sort of the whole count once and then sort of started the rotation sort of after that. But, I'm sure we could work that out offline. And then, Mr. Chair, the other thing I wanted to kind of just sort of flag here that I think is an opportunity, this is maybe a combination between transportation and GIS working together, because we became aware of this, I guess, concept of becoming a map editor once you sort of participate in sort of the programs and it's mostly volunteer driven. But we were introduced to a gentleman up in who's a volunteer firefighter in Bremen, I think, and he actually showed us where over several years he had sort of built up, I guess, his Waze editor credentials, and he was actually able to go in and see the Waze pattern. So to your point about satellites, we do kind of know traffic patterns because Google Maps, Apple Maps, Waze, all those tools. But he was suggesting that we literally, as a transportation department, could work with those entities to develop, in essence, gateways around certain neighborhoods. And so I would be interested and it kind of, I think, tail ends with sort of our traffic calming and just sort of how we manage cut-throughs of neighborhoods. And not saying that's one solution to speeding in the neighborhoods, but it seemed like an opportunity for us to potentially use technology and GPS to create those gates that in essence make individuals have to take sort of the other routes, because the GPS will tell the person it'll take like an hour to get through the neighborhood because there's a gate that's been put up. So I wanted to mention that, and that's something on the back end as well. But Stacy Greer and Director Gear, and I think one individual in his department was interested in sort of pursuing that.
That's good, Commissioner Terry. I know ARC has Waze data, and so we can schedule something to help us when you come back with your first report, Ms. Keeter. If we gotta get a motion to approve, and then we'll do this quarterly so we can see where the progress is going. So once we get it approved, then we'll move on the quarterly schedule. And then we'll have the Waze data because ARC picks that data up, Commissioner Terry, and how we can collaborate and combine on that system. So that's good information. Commissioner Patrick, and then we'll entertain a motion.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. Commissioner Terry took my questions, but I'm still going to say them. To me, it seems like there would be some merit to have just a countywide survey done in year one, and then, as perhaps Ms. Keeter has suggested, every year after that, it's a third of the county or a quarter of the county or half of the county, however we want to approach it, but just have that good initial baseline data that all districts can benefit from, and then move forward from there. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Let me ask you this. So you're trying to do the whole county or just unincorporated?
Unincorporated, I apologize. I
Do
guess
that in
the
the whole-
context here, countywide would be the unincorporated areas.
Right, and we do share streets because they all connected, so it might be a project the cities want to help pay for.
You know, that's a great idea. That's a
We're
great
not
idea.
gonna stop, we're not gonna stop what we're doing here, but it's something, because we
Right.
just gonna do half, you just gonna do half the road, but you know, the road goes all the way up.
Yep.
So Beaufort Highway don't just stop, you know, and half, it goes all the way up to, incorporated area, so
Yep.
that's something to think about, Ms. Keeter, to come back to do the third, do the first overall, and then find a way if cities want to connect with us, have them help pay for the, you know, after we finish all of this overall stuff, they start paying for us to do the third. So something to think about, and I'll leave it up to the committee. Any more questions? So, okay, so Ms. Keeter, what you want us to pass, what again, the amount?
Well, based on this discussion, it looks like that you're interested in doing the full gap analysis. The initial agenda item that you have in front of you has $150,000 cost. I don't
Mhm.
think we're gonna need that.
Okay,
I think we're more in the $40,000 to $50,000 for the full countywide unincorporated DeKalb.
okay,
What we haven't done is identify the funding source for this. Not sure what Commissioner Patrick had in mind. I think he was the author of the agenda item. I may be wrong there, but we need to
Mr. Chair.
yeah.
do
Do you have any of your money left?
What I would propose, Mr. Chair, is we put it in the mid-year.
Okay, all right,
It's just direct, with the kind of a consensus of nodding heads of PECS, we will have this in the mid-year budget.
okay, that's fine. That okay with you all committee members?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fine with it, although everything gets in the, general budget after I spend money out of my appropriations. So I would like someone to suggest that before I spend my money. But I'm good. And
You know, I guarantee you can find something between now and August 15th that
Right.
funded in District 5. So you got a couple of more weeks.
oh, okay.
So I'll entertain
Okay.
a motion.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve this item. And thank you, Commissioner Patrick, for introducing it.
And the money will come and they will work on the funding with Mr. Williams, and it will be included in our mid-year. That'll be part of the motion.
Right.
Need a
Right.
second?
Second.
All right, moving properly second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
All right.
Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Keeter. Keep up the good work. Let me go to 1692. And Ms. Horner,
All right, that is change order number 1 to cooperative agreement contract number 185181 for sports lighting with related supplies and services for use by the Department of Recreation, Parks, and Cultural Affairs. This contract consists of the purchase, installation of lighting and related supplies and services. It's awarded to Musco Sports Lighting, LLC, amount not to exceed $733,047. And purchasing does recommend approval of this change order.
all right, thank you. Mr. Ellis, you want to add anything?
Just want to add that this is an unfortunate incident of vandalism of copper. And the good news is, if there's any good news to be had out of it, is that the new LED lights do not have copper in the poles themselves. They do have copper in underground, but it's very much harder to get to. So a lot of this is a problem across the country, and the lighting industry has finally got in together where we really don't even need to fence off the base of the poles where this is happening a lot. So it's much more difficult to get to the copper, because I surely didn't want to go there and replace this just to have it happen again. So just wanted to add that bit of information.
So how would the folks who stole it last time know that?
I guess when if they get in there, or they're going to get a C, they're not going to see any copper, that's for sure.
So we can't, well, I was gonna say, put
We're
it,
still going to fence off, and that type of thing. And there's also going to be, this is a camera party spot. So hopefully between the two, there'll be a big enough deterrent.
thank you, because there is an increase in stealing copper. One church lost all of their air conditioning equipment, so we're back into that time where people are needing money to do that, and they're taking copper from other places. So any more questions, commissioners, before I entertain a motion? All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Move to recommend approval.
Need a second? Second by Commissioner Johnson. All in favor of the motion, signal by hands and words, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. And now we'll go to 1832. Ms. Horner.
Okay, that is a low bid, invitation number 22-101510 for feed, hay, and shavings for Little Creek Horse Farm. It's an annual contract with 2 options to renew for use by the Department of Recreation, Parks, and Cultural Affairs. It consists of the purchase of feed, hay, and shavings for Little Creek Horse Farm. It's recommended award to the sole bidder, who is responsive and responsible, Conyers Pet and Livestock Supplies, Inc., DBA The Stock Market. Amount not to exceed $224,773.92. And our recommendation is to award to that sole bidder.
All right. Thank you so much. Is there any question? Mr. Ellis?
The only thing to add, we have 46 horses out there. Of course, they need the hay, the feed, the shavings, all that to keep us operational. I guess I want to put a little precursor in here that, we incrementally raising the rates out there. We raised it over $100 last year. And I didn't want to do it all at once by doing incrementally as we're making improvements at the farm. So before too long, you will see another rate increase. We will make sure the borders, they know it's coming. And we will try to work it out where we're coming, where our costs, revenue costs more and more.
I got you. Thank you so much. Commissioner Rader?
What's our cost recovery profile look like there, Mr. Ellis?
We're working on that now because some of this price has increased on the fee on the hay and grain. So we can bring you back another report on that so I can give you exact numbers. But right now we're charging $550 per month per horse. I don't have the total cost because some of the positions weren't vacant, some were funded, some weren't. So I'm just trying to get all those numbers back together so I can give you a good count.
Okay, I would be interested in that analysis. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, commissioners, seeing no more questions, I'll entertain the motion.
I'll second that.
All right. Commissioner Johnson, you made the motion? Okay, all right.
Sorry, John, keep muting me. I don't know why.
Mr. Matowski, you don't get us started now. I'm trying to keep her happy. All right, it's moved by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Rader. All in favor of the motion, saying with words in hands, aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, passes. Thank you. Now we'll go to 1917. This is intergovernmental agreement. Do we have the director from Work Sources here? Mr. Davis, how you doing? And take it away.
Great. Thank you, sir. Thank you for all y'all allowing me to come by and talk with you all today. 2022-1917 is the approval of DeKalb County Government and Georgia Piedmont Technical College for the purpose of joint administration of the DeKalb Virtual Career Academy, not to exceed $160,000. I have a couple of slides I'm gonna throw up right quick.
All right, take it away, sir. You have permission? Mr.
Yes.
Patel? Oh, he gave it to you already. Okay.
He has. Thank you.
All right.
So what I want to talk about
Learn while you learn.
dollars that we're looking for is in support of just
You
the
keep
CEO.
going in and out, so just let
So
you.
sorry, I've been having that problem lately. Keep speaking louder help, I don't know. Summer Youth Employment Program. partnership between DeKalb County, Georgia Piedmont Technical College, DeKalb County School District, and businesses. Dates, June the 6th through July the 8th. 2,194 applicants. 760 participants. Georgia Piedmont supported 259 of our participants. $10 an hour for the interns for 20 hours a week for 5 weeks. So basically this for this time period, all the way through August 31st. Hopefully I'm not breaking up too much. I've been having problems today.
Oh, it's good now.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. And then mainly young adults, they will learn job readiness training, project management, and Microsoft. Some individuals that participated at Georgia Piedmont had the opportunity to work at offsite at OJT sites, but most of the program, the majority, virtual. They went to a strenuous credentialing process. Slide right here may be of interest. 2,194 individuals are applied. From the applicants to the select.
Can I have a question here?
Yes, ma'am.
So was there a maximum capacity of the 700 and some odd that was shown on the last slide? Because I think it was over 2,000 applicants.
Yes, the maximum, we were trying to, excuse me, the ultimate goal was to get 800, but that was taking WIOA into account. So when we were looking at it for the CEO's program, it was the neighborhood of 700. And we all know we had funding, and we know that some people may have participated 1 hour and some individuals may have participated the entire 100 hours. But we wanted to optimize to get the most people there.
Okay, thank you.
So it's broken down by districts. So far, we're still closing out our books, but over 562,000 from the this year's program went into the hands of the participants.
All right, next slide.
And what, excuse me, what does this map indicate?
Okay, so I'm gonna blow it up a little bit.
Okay.
So what it's indicating, out of the 2,194 applicants.
Yeah, Rob, you're kind of breaking up. It looks like it shows the applicants by district and then how many were selected and participated by district, Commissioner.
Oh, okay. Okay. So some that was selected did not participate. And did we go back to the pool or we just left it at that?
That's why we had 769 versus 700. So we overaged, went up to the 760.
Okay.
Realizing, well, really it was 843, realizing that so many people weren't going to participate.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Director.
Okay. And I will relinquish, stop sharing.
Any questions, Mr. Chair?
You gonna let me run the meeting, Mr. Williams?
Sorry, it's the beard.
No, you in San Francisco. Let me run this meeting. I'm gonna repeat what Mr. Williams said. Is there any questions, committee? Members? Okay, I see Commissioner Ted Terry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I appreciate Director Davis and all his hard work. Definitely been really impressed and gratified to see the amazing work and innovative work that the WorkSource team is doing. Certainly with the Summer Career Academy, I've got a local student who basically said it was a great experience. So I just wanted to give a shout out to that partnership there. And then, just I think, as we move forward in sort of the coming years, I'm just curious, Mr. Davis, sort of what he sees as sort of the biggest challenges in sort of the work source, I guess, sort of arena that he's, kind of the lay of the land, I guess, whether it's for sort of like emerging careers or certain job sectors that are seeing a greater demand. Just a little bit that kind of that forecast and lay of the land, if he doesn't mind opining for a minute or two.
Yes. Things are changing, but one thing that has not changed is job readiness preparation. And that's what we find out is the most difficult thing that when it comes for employers to stay is individuals, those soft skills and preparation for their careers. That basic foundation.
And that's what you're giving them through this virtual academy, the base to launch from.
Exactly, yes.
Okay. That's good. And you'll be coming back, Commissioner, you'll come back quarterly to give us some updates, especially now. They said the recession is here and some people saying it's not, but we know we went through it before. A lot of the jobs, I was at some fast food places, I didn't even see a person. I ordered from a computer and then my order was placed. And it used to be you went to the bank and you saw just the bank was changed with the ATM. So it's a change that's happening around. And so we need to be on the cutting edge of what's going on. So thank you. Is there not any more questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion on this item, partnership.
Move to approve.
All right, need a second. Second by Commissioner Davis Johnson. And any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion. 1917, aye, hands.
Aye.
Motion carries. Now we'll go to status update. Small box discount retailers. Mr. Hudson here. Or as I know Mr. Baker wouldn't be able to make it because he had appointments. So
Conflict.
who is presenting? Mr. White? How you doing, sir?
Mr. White.
I'm doing
Randy.
just fine. How are you?
Best day of my life.
I heard that.
You take it away.
All right. Start here. Can you all see my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, so as you recall, you all voted to extend the moratorium related to small box discount retail stores this morning. So that'll take us into September, a deadline of September 30th of this year. Related to that, obviously, the proposed text amendments to the zoning ordinance. So you last heard these items at your May 26th zoning meeting. So we haven't made any changes to the proposed text since that time. We've had a number of meetings with industry representatives, with a few of the affected stores. And so what we've done is shared the proposed draft with them, and they have made some markups of the proposed text amendments. We've also shared that with commissioners for your consideration. And over the past 2 weeks or so, we've had individual meetings scheduled with all the commissioners to go over any questions, concerns that you all have or had regarding this particular proposal and some of the comments that we received from industry representatives. So this matrix that you see here just represents a summary of issues that have come up along the way and concerns that industry representatives have voiced to us regarding certain proposed provisions related to the text amendment proposal. So in our one-on-one meetings, we've gone through these individually. So I guess right now, if there are additional questions, concerns that you have, we can discuss them now. If there are things that haven't been addressed that you would like to give further consideration to, now would be the time. And then what we're going to do after this is take all of your feedback, the industry feedback, make the appropriate revisions, and then there'll be an updated draft that'll be circulated here in the upcoming weeks as we prepare for the next cycle of our community.
All right, one thing you want to have for the future meeting is because folks may be thinking that the stores are going to go away. But do you have a future map that you can bring that shows, based on this passage, how many dollar stores will come to a specific area? Because yours is doing, so will this, what you're proposing now, will this eliminate dollar stores or these type of stores, or will it just make them more, we just won't be able to do as many? And can
It'll
you?
be the latter.
Okay.
So based on some of the proposed revisions and distance separations and some of just the design requirements that'll be applied to these stores and properties, it may make it a little more difficult for them to set up in certain areas and may force them to disperse and extend their region. Well, yeah, their service areas beyond the areas that they're currently located.
And the ones that some of the regulations you're proposing, you will now have more fresh fruits and vegetables incorporated in these stores?
Yes, sir. The proposal right now is for new stores to dedicate up to 10% of the floor sales area to fresh fruits, produce, frozen foods are also on the table, in addition to some certain healthy dry foods.
But they'll be the same price as a regular grocery store, or will they be based on the dollar store model?
It'll be subject to their operation and their model. We're not regulating price.
Okay, I just want people to hear that because they think it's going to be cheaper. It's not, it's going to probably be the same or higher because everything is high right now. All right, commissioners, any questions? And you'll bring this back to us, right? In August, before you bring it back in September?
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Okay. Any questions from the committee members? Okay, Commissioner Ted Terry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to give appreciations to Director Baker and Mr. White and Mr. Reed and team for taking about an hour and a half a couple of weeks back to just sort of go through it line by line. So that was that allowed me to kind of wrap my head around sort of I guess maybe the points of contention that the industry is pointing out. So I think now that we've got all the cards on the table, if you will, we understand where the industry sort of feels, there's some things that they can't live with, or maybe they don't want to have to deal with. We're making our points about public health and, public welfare, access to, food and food deserts. So I think we're getting really close to some decision points. And, kind of like they say, Mr. Chair, if everyone sort of walks away, a little bit unhappy, then you might be doing the right thing. So I feel like we're going down the route of we might have to give a little, and then they need to also, take a little as well to make this thing work. But I think it's looking really good. Clearly, the law department and the planning department have put a lot of time and energy, very detailed. And so I feel like we're definitely covering all of the aspects just through these review processes. So just wanted to acknowledge that and say thanks.
Thank you. And just for everybody, we hadn't taken a vote yet until we get through all of these nuances. So, Mr. White, do you feel we'll be ready in August to take a vote to recommend it to the full board?
So we're probably going to need that full 60 days to work through the variety of issues that we have to work through. But I don't see us needing to go beyond September 30th.
Okay, well, just let us know. Thank you so much. Thank you for the update. Now we'll go to Emory Village Overlay District.
All right, I'll stay right here. Let's see, so this is also a project that we've been working on for a good while here. Switch presentations here. And so this is a proposal that we've been working on with the applicable district commissioners, the Emory Village Alliance, Emory University, and other stakeholders in that area. So just a little history. The revitalization plan for Emory Village dates back to 2002, which ultimately led to the adoption of the overlay district in the zoning ordinance in 2006. And so members of Emory Village Alliance, Commissioner Rader and others came to us last year with a proposal to take another look at the overlay district, see how we can spruce up the code, bring some more vitality to this node near Emory University, this neighborhood. There's been a number of restaurants and some other establishments that have left the area and left some vacant storefronts. And they're just trying to think of ideas and ways that they can reinvigorate the area. And so just for your edification, here's the zoning map. And so the hatch marks here represent the Druid Hills Historic District, which also applies to properties in Emory Village Overlay District. It's purple color here represents all of the properties in the overlay district. And then obviously Emory University here to the northeast. And so the purpose hasn't changed. So these are some statements from the overlay district trying to balance commercial needs, residential needs, the university, natural environmental needs, and maintaining a historic character in this area, trying to make it a mixed-use community where you can kind of balance all of the various desires that you have. You have residential communities that surround the village. Obviously, you have the university there with their staff and the students, of course, that frequent some of the establishments in that area, and trying to figure out how to make this a vibrant area and make it work for everybody. So that's what that's been the approach to the project. And so far, the Emory Village Alliance, they've been doing a fantastic job of assisting us with this process, with outreach, with surveys and research, and just ideas as to what they think may work, things that folks desire in that area. And so ultimately what will happen is we'll take in everything that they've provided to us, all the hard work, and we'll take it, consider it, package it into the form that you're used to in the form of an ordinance with text amendment proposals that'll go into the zoning ordinance. Some of the things that we're looking at, introducing some uses that currently aren't allowed in the district, bringing those in, such as schools, pet daycare, boutique hotels, rooftop dining, are things that are all on the table right now. Eliminating minimum dwelling unit size, reducing some of the parking standards in that area, incorporating ride share, pickup and drop-offs throughout the Emory Village node. Also some things related to design. Some of the storefronts along the area have not been as well maintained as others. So that's an aspect of it. The streetscape, the road network, the bike lanes, taking a look at some of that stuff. All of it can't be remedied through this particular process, but we're using this to kind of be the catalyst to get some other things done at Emory Village. And so with that, if you don't mind, Mr. Chair, if you could give Mr. Goldman just a few minutes to speak towards the project. He's a member of the Zoning Board of Appeals and also a member of the Emory Village Alliance, if you don't mind, sir.
No, I was getting scared because I thought y'all was building this up to create the city for Mayor Rader, but I see we got some citizen participation. Okay, come on. I guess so. I'm back now.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. White, and county commissioners and committee members. as Mr. White said, we've been working with planning sustainability for quite some time now, over a year. What motivated us to rethink our zoning overlay is we've been very successful with public areas. We have a roundabout that's working very well. We have a terrific plaza. We have lots of street trees and street furniture that was all supported by the ARC and DeKalb County about 14 years ago. But on the private side, we've been very disappointed. We expected good mixed-use redevelopment like we're seeing throughout the whole metro area, and we have had none in Emory Village. So we put our heads together and got lots of input from property owners, from store owners, from the adjacent golf club, from Emory, many residents. And we've been working on removing barriers and rethinking what we need to do to get some good redevelopment in the village that's compatible with the historic guidelines, that's consistent with what people want. And we're not making any major changes like in building height or the area of the village, but we're, like Mr. White said, we're rethinking what kind of businesses might be interested in moving to a place like Emory Village, and rethinking what had been barriers like unit size and removing those. So thank you for this opportunity. We really appreciate the county's strong support.
You're welcome. And this is good for what you're saying, Mr. Goldman, just for the public, because when overlays were proposed 10 or 15 years ago, we thought that would be a way to generate the type of activity you were saying. But now you're revisiting the strategy and trying to make it even better. So it just shows that it's okay to say that and then come back and try to redirect and repurpose on where we need to go, because nothing is set in stone. Everything is, needs to be fluid. So I'm glad you are taking a relook at it, because most folks would just keep it going and say it's coming, but nothing ever shows up. So I know Commissioner Rader worked on that for a while, and we appreciate that.
So. Yes.
And bringing it back.
Commissioner Terry's been very supportive, and in the past, Commissioner Gannon. So thank you all very much.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. White, before we open up for questions?
No, sir, that's all.
All right, thank you. Commissioners from the committee have any comments?
The only comment that I would have is that it has been said that successful public policy is that which generates a widespread and sustained private response. And by that measure, the overlay hasn't achieved its goals. So I am glad that we are working to ensure that the overlay is a catalyst for the type of development people want to see in the area. And I certainly support the process and will follow its recommendations with interest.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Ray. Commissioner Terry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciations to Commissioner Rader and Gannon and Mr. Goldman and several planning department generations for working on this. I think I wanted to note that I think just coming into this discussion with fresh eyes, I agree with everything that Mr. White has put up in terms of thinking about sort of changes to the overlay that would create some new activity. I think those are really innovative and good approaches. I think one of the challenges of this particular area is just that it's a challenging area, and on paper it might look sort of perfect, density, university, like it has all the attributes of what you'd think would be an economic center, but then it still sort of has these struggles. And so I think there's some lessons that can be learned, or just sort of evolutions of concepts as we move forward. One thing that I want to appreciate the Emory Village Alliance doing in sort of the placemaking vein of trying to bring the community into the district for activity is the Halloween parade. And then me and Jeff, we went down to the creek and released little rubber duckies and all the kids yelled at us, and cheered us on as we, like the rubber duckies, like raced down the creek. So, but the long story short, I think programming is something that I think has to be part of future development conversations. Simply building a public realm or a public square or a place for people to gather, and then just expecting things to happen overnight is definitely an optimistic view. I think things tend to happen more organically over years and years. But I think as we move forward, looking at future development sites, whether we're talking about redeveloping our regional centers, thinking about those placemaking opportunities, but then how do we actually sustain programming? And either do we do it through our own auspices, where they're planning or Parks and Rec, or do we make that part of the development financing so that there's activity happening all the time? One thing I just wanted to note, Mr. Chair, for consideration as we move forward, and again, thanks to all the participants in this overlay district. I think it is definitely moving forward, and there's some bright spots ahead. So thank you.
Thank you. Great presentation. And you'll bring it back, Mr. White, so we can vote on the final deliberations to pass it on.
Right, yeah, it still has to go through the full process. So we're still a good ways before we introduce it. But yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Okay, the annual development report, ADR.
Yes, sir. Mr. Commissioner, Cedric Hudson, Deputy Director of Planning Services speaking. This project is headed by our long range department division, headed by Sylvia Smith, and James Burge will be giving or delivering the presentation today. And while they are setting that up, John, I think James is going to need sharing controls for his presentation. And if to add a little context, commissioners, if you remember in the past, we've always had annual development reports part of what we produce. We used to give you a 45-page report in your hand of paper that you would flip through, hopefully, of all the development activity in the county, which includes planning, zoning, permit activity. And it's not really from the operational sense, but more so of what's built in the ground, or what is planning to be built in the ground. And so we hope that this project will not only be of use to you, but will also be of use to the community. A lot of people will give us a call and say, hey, what's going on in my community? And so what we're about to show you is how we're going to give people and you the ability to see what's going on in their community from a development and planning perspective. And so with that said, I'm going to hand this over to Sylvia and to James.
Okay, thank you, Cedric. I think you covered it. So I'm just going to, James has been with us a little over a year and a half, and we're glad to have him. And he is our GIS specialist, and his name is James Burge. So James, I'll let you take it away.
Can y'all see the screen okay? It says 2020 Annual Development Report.
We see it.
Okay. Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you for allowing me the time to demonstrate this report. This is the final draft of the report, and we would like your input before it goes public on the county website. We decided to make this report format exclusively in the form of a story map, a web-hosted interactive map that helps the information come to life more than it would in a traditional PDF report. The report consists of a series of interactive maps that break down the permit data from 2021 by type in order to demonstrate where in the county certain types of building activity take place over that year. We began the report by highlighting some of the accomplishments of the Planning and Sustainability Department for the year 2021, broken down by each division within the department. For example, here in the Long Range Planning Division, some of the major accomplishments included adopting the 5-year comprehensive plan update and completing the Glenwood Road and Columbia Drive redevelopment plan. Current planning highlights the number of processed applications per year. For example, 113 variances were processed. Sustainability, which is relatively new. I don't think it's technically even a division yet, but they have brought in a new sustainability coordinator and helped usher through the adoption of the no net loss of trees resolution. The permits division upgraded various technical things, including upgrading to an e-permitting system, moving away from a paper process to a more sustainable all electronic process, which is also done by the Land Development Division in tandem. The Inspections Division completed a total of 160,000 inspections for the year. And finally, the Business License Division had a revenue of 7.1 million, which is an increase from the revenue compared to the revenue of 2020. Next, we will define the types of structural permits issued by the county, which I hope you all are already at least have some familiarity with. We start with an overview of all the structural permits issued by the county in the unincorporated parts for 2021, and then future maps will break it down by category. This particular map displays it in the form of a heat map due to the large number of data points, which highlights certain hotspots of development within the unincorporated parts of the county. The interactive capabilities allow you to zoom in and look at the activity of specific areas in more detail, and also gives you the option to enter your address and see specific development trends in your area if you want. Now I will scroll through each of the maps and highlight some takeaway trends from each. If there are any specific ones that you would like me to stop and examine in greater detail, please let me know. We start with single and multifamily housing. Sometimes it doesn't show up. Okay, here we go. This shows new single-family housing built, which, as you can see, it was most prevalent in the area north of Avondale Estates and new subdivisions at the very southern end of the county. Single-family housing additions were heavily concentrated in Druid Hills, La Vista area, and the Candler-McAfee area along the Atlanta and Decatur border, and a similar pattern can be seen for single-family alterations.
And when you say alterations, those are people who bought the house and now trying to.
Additions just means something. They're similar, but alterations is renovation, and addition is adding a new square footage to the place. Sometimes you can have both at the same time, but an addition and an alteration. But does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. New multifamily housing developments were most prevalent in sort of the corridor along Interstate 285 in the center of the county, and they're tended to be disparately clustered in areas that were more friendly to new multifamily development. And multifamily alterations was less common, but could be found in North Druid Hills and in the 2nd Avenue south of East Lake. And also have a specific category for accessory structures, which can include accessory dwelling units, though not necessarily used for a dwelling unit. Next, we move on to commercial structures, including new businesses, which are predominantly intended for retail or warehouse, and were most commonly found in Commission District 3.
Say it. Wait. I want people to hear that. Say nothing happening. Say it again.
Of all of the new commercial permits, new business permits issued, almost half of them were issued in District 3, and they tend to be retail or warehouse specific.
Okay, I just want people to hear that.
This one combines business alterations and additions since they work better together in this case. And as you might imagine, they were clustered in existing commercial centers, since especially in the North Decatur area right here, which straddles the line between districts 2 and 4. And we have a separate category for personal care homes, because those are kind of a unique case and require a unique permit scheme. And there's a mix between ones issued by the county and ones issued by the state of Georgia. And then that first category was all structural permits issued by or building permits. And the second category is planning permits, including zoning, land use, and other permitting types. This shows the rezonings. Rezoning activity mostly occurred in the central region of the county and was most frequently found in Commission District 4. But rezones are less common as they have to go through the committee and process it all and everything. There were 2 land use amendments for the year, including one in North Druid Hills and one off of Memorial Drive. Both amendments were elected to allow more types of housing on specific sites in the area that had redevelopment plans that recommended changing the land use character areas. Chairman Johnson, you might like to know that Commission District 3 also had by far the largest share of special land use permits. But there are also relatively few of them, so it's not as many data points to kind of add up. Gas stations were the most common type of special land use permits, followed by alcohol outlets, daycare facilities, and places of worship. Finally, the last major one, land disturbance activity, which is concentrated along the I-285 area in the central of the county, east of Avondale Estates. Land disturbance permits usually prefix a building permit of some kind, but they're technically a separately issued permit on a different timeline. So it may be showing a new development, but it may not be. We also summarized the annual development trends for the year, showing trends in permitting revenue and total permits issued. It ticked up compared to 2020, when both things were disrupted hard by the coronavirus pandemic, but have not fully recovered from the previous peak of 2019, which is the pre-pandemic peak of both permitting revenue and permits issued by the county. And in the end here, we have a summary highlighting some of the more important points that I just went over in my presentation. This concludes my presentation. If you have any questions, please let me know.
One of the things I wanted to say that James touched on a little, but he didn't talk about enough, I think. This is something new that we're doing in our ADR report, is that all of our maps, they're all interactive, right, James?
Oh, whoops. Yes, sorry, I forgot to mention that. Yes.
So if you click on a dot on any of those maps.
Yes, if you click on the dot, you can see the specific details of each application. We include number and date and the address of the site and the work type and all of those details.
Okay. Any questions, commissioners?
Is there going to be a link for this available for us to review?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think generally the process, if there are no questions or no additions, we could have it live by as soon as Friday. We will send you a link to it to where it is directly on our website. And also we'll send a link out to our neighborhood registries, roughly about 500 people that we've collected over the years, and just have a blast so the public will also know. And we'll also put in our announcements on our front page of our website.
Thank you.
Now, I would like to see, although you did the permits for businesses and you said like it was up, but how much the total in terms of that business will bring to the county. And people got to understand we are the 1 cent sales tax, those extra businesses. That's how you keep a lot of this money coming, staying back into the county or from visitors that may come out, on how it generates money for infrastructure and property tax relief. I'm just trying to show the interconnectivity of all of these things, because some folks say, well, we don't need this and that, but you don't want a vacant building a lot of times. You want something there that can generate some sales tax. It's better than just having a vacant building that may create crime and different other things. So if you can show us, this past year, all the business permits that were done, this is the collective money in terms of $20 million, $30 million addition than what we had last year. So people can see it, because you only see 2,000 permits. People gonna say, oh, okay. But if you can show the value on what that business is going to generate or what's going on, people can start to see the magnitude of how your department is not dealing in the thousands, you're dealing with in the millions. And that can help in terms of how many jobs getting created, people be able to work closer to home. There's a lot of things that you do, the rooftops you generate, the construction jobs that comes with that. So there's a lot of things that come out of the housing piece. They buy refrigerators, they buy stoves, they buy carpet. So it's, I know you all have done some great work, but I want people to really see that the permit may be $200, but it leads to 5 to 10 jobs being created and people using and buying a certain amount of sales tax. I know if that doesn't exist, that's fine, but just some way we need to capture the whole picture, as opposed to saying I did 2,000 business permits and not talking about what is the value, the gross sales that company is going to generate for us.
Chairman Johnson, I've been working on a parallel project in tandem called the Major Developments Report that I believe actually is supposed to help present at the next PECS meeting.
Okay.
And it's a slightly different data set. It covers more than just 2021, and it focuses on higher value projects, but it does contain details of how those projects are valued and what level of valued investment is coming to the community. And so it provides some of what you're looking for there.
Great. I want people to see that, because they'll say a lot of folks say nothing happening, but there's a lot happening. But it starts with the permitting process, and then it starts coming out the ground after that. So you may have a project we approved 2 years ago, but it may now be starting to come to fruition.
The major projects map is intended to highlight some of these the big ones that they tend to take longer to come to fruition, multiple years. They aren't as easily captured by like 1 year's report, because the process can take so long in those cases. So this one will cover a window of I believe 2020 to 2022.
Excellent. Thank you. You did good for your first time.
Thank you.
Commissioner Ted Terry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thanks, Mr. Burge, for a great presentation. I definitely like the story GIS storytelling. I think it's really helps tells the story better. So excellent. And I wanted to second what Chairman Johnson was saying, because I think that that analysis. And, certainly for the major development, I'm very interested to see that. That sounds right, sort of up the alley of what Commissioner Johnson was talking about. But I wonder maybe not for this report, but for the next report, that in some manner we talk about how, here was the value of that parcel, before, and then after a development or, even a permit, how that next year assessment changes. Because I think what Commissioner Johnson was referring to is, the economic development impacts, in the economy, one, but then the tax digest as another. And so when within that, I would suggest that we more clearly define the difference between parcel value and then service delivery costs. And this is what I was getting to earlier this morning about sort of suburbia pays for itself in some areas, and other places it doesn't pay for itself. And so we have to try to find a way to sort of balance that equation. And I think if we could just have a visual that, basically shows that, where we see sort of incremental density increases, it does increase the tax digest. It creates the opportunity for more and more sort of efficient service delivery and keeping that budget balanced. But other than that, I think everything was great, and I don't have anything else to add or comment on. Chair, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Terry. Great input and insight. Thank you, Commissioner Patrick.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I love the presentation. Great data, great information. As staff moves into Sam Street, I hope you guys are going to be able to also track turnaround times on plan reviews, permit issuance from the moment it's received to the date of issuance. Also maybe have some way to address, I know sometimes applicants can fall off the radar themselves. That will eat up your time, but that kind of data I think would be very helpful. And I don't know if CEO Williams or any other staff people are here, but do we have like a phone call return or email return response timeframe?
Actually, we do, Commissioner. I know Aaron usually provides those reports, and he provides those on a routine basis every other week, monthly, definitely. And so that's more on the side of our operational reports, or more so than the ADR, but we do have those numbers.
Okay. I know sort of the best way to dispel a rumor or reputation that may be out in the media is data. And anytime you guys have data like that, let's put it out. And if it's something we have to work on fixing, let's talk about what you need to get it right. But otherwise, thank you very much. That was a great report. I loved it. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Good. Is there any way that you can work with our Parks and Rec department to tie in a wellness indicator in the report? Just to see, when you build a house or you build certain amenities, on what it does, like Commissioner Terry's talking about, how it can impact the quality of life. So I don't know if there's a formula out there or something that we can do, but just something for the future.
We can definitely reach out and have that discussion, Commissioner.
Yeah, because as you do your 2050 plan, you got to tie in all of the facets. And I know we're hearing about certain segments, but you want to make sure we can tie them all in. Closeness to the bus stops, the train and rail, how close that is to an amenity or subdivision, so they can get to work quicker. Those things that really can add value to a community and to the business map that we're trying to get out to gain more economic development.
Indeed.
Okay, thank you so much. We appreciate your time, and Mr. Baker, get well. I know he had to go out, but he'll be back next week. But I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second by Commissioner Marita Davis Johnson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So we'll be ready in 5 and 10 minutes. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of your day.